So we actually serve as a compass, offering direction and insight through engaging interviews as well as stories from veterans. And so I am your host, LaMonica Lawrence. I'm a 14-year Navy veteran. I have the heart and the passion to help veterans transition out of the military, as it was a tough transition for myself. And so today we have none other than Michael Robinson. He is a retired Navy veteran. He served 20 years in the military. He is now a civilian and an entrepreneur. And today we're just going to ask him a few questions in regards to his transition, what that has been looking like for him since he has been post military. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
All right, hey, how you doing, everyone? So yes, it was just like you said. I did serve 20 years in the service. I did straight out of high school. Um, I am a father, have three boys, one little girl. Um, I'm originally from Southside Chicago and currently living in Winterville, North Carolina. You know, that's where we went ahead
Amazing.
and plant our flag.
Exactly. Okay,
Um,
North Carolina. Now, is that considered one of the what's the slogan or the saying? One of the Kakalakis, or is that just South Carolina?
no, it's a
Right.
Kakalaki.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
North Kakalaki,
Okay.
South Kakalaki.
Right. Okay, okay. That's
I
amazing.
I ain't heard that in a minute.
Telling the age. Okay.
Oh man.
So, Michael, tell us what actually inspired you to join the military?
You know, honestly, at first, legitimately, I was like, I am not joining the military. I don't want to go to war. I ain't trying to do any of that. Like for real. Um, Even though it was always in the back of my mind to do it, but just trying to figure out which branch to actually uh go to was, I guess was the struggle. Definitely I wasn't Army, Marines. I'm like, nah, I don't know. But you know what? When I actually went into the recruiting office, the Marines was actually the first office I walked into.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah, but I walked in that bad boy and they were all, I mean, the uniforms was tight. I mean, they were both sitting at their desks straight up like this. And as soon as I stepped foot across that threshold, they was like, how may we help you? I was like, ooh,
Right. I'm in the wrong office.
yeah, let me just let me just grab this pamphlet.
Right.
Yeah, but I uh I stepped outside the office and I heard some conversation. It was actually some loud conversation going on. And I was like, what's going on at the end of the hallway? So I walked down the end of the hallway, peek in, and the very first thing is I saw white. I saw all white uniforms. The first thing I thought about was I look good in white.
I know that's right.
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought. But I walked in the office. When I walked in there, they didn't pay me no mind. Like they continued on with their conversation, and I was looking at their pictures, and I was noticing they was in different countries. Um, and I just happened to turn around and say, "Hey, you all been to these places? You all been?" Because I seen some of the recruiters that was in there. They was in those pictures. Um, Seeing that I was a recruiter, I know that was a sales tactic, but that's all good now. But
Right.
but when I saw it, being a high schooler, a senior in high school, I saw that one of our majors in high school was traveling tourism.
Oh, wow.
Uh, yeah, so I was like, I want to travel. I've always wanted to travel. So they was like, yeah, we been to those places. What you want? That's how legitly what they said to me. Like, what you want? I was like, I like to do that. Next thing you know, I'm on a practice test.
Wow.
Yep. Next thing you know, I'm on a practice test. But it
Wow.
was just the one thing that just inspired me to go was because from Southside Chicago, just had graduated high school, scholarships didn't come through, and I just knew that I didn't want to just be there just trying to figure it out. So um,
Right.
yeah, so I went ahead and I made that leap, and I didn't even tell my mama that I did it at the time.
Ooh, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't even tell her.
Mm,
Um, but it ultimately was a good look though. I can't be mad at
yes,
that. Yeah.
that's awesome. So, if you had to compare, how did your expectations of joining the military versus your actual experiences, were they similar? Were they different? Did you go in expecting one thing and then end up encountering something totally different?
Lamaka, I did not know what to expect at all from even when I joined the Navy. All I knew was a recruiter was gonna pick me up and drop me off somewhere.
Wow.
That's how I didn't know what to expect. But the only thing I did figure out while in boot camp is it's like you know how us entrepreneurs we learn one way from our families for so long, right?
Right.
And then now once we learn uh the aspects of money and whatnot, we have to pretty much wash away all that old stuff.
Absolutely.
So while in boot camp, I noticed they were, pretty much breaking us down from, from what we're used to, that civilian,
Right.
mindset to that transition to the military thinking. Um, I that's the only thing I knew that was gonna break us down, and I knew we was gonna come out total different person.
Yes, yes.
But that was my only um thing I expected, but it definitely made not just me, but a whole lot of folks in there a whole lot stronger mentally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of it, you know?
Mhm.
So what would you say, what were some of the most valuable lessons that you learned during your time in the service?
Man,
We'll
you
say
know,
lessons and skills.
yeah,
What are some big takeaways that you're like, wow, you know what, had not joined the military, I probably wouldn't have known that.
yeah. So one of the reasons why I joined, because I wanted to do something none of my friends knew how to do, right? Because coming up, they all had some type of skill. They either knew how to cut hair, they knew how to draw, they knew how to do something. But I sit there and look at myself. I'm like, man, what do I know how to do? My homeboy is fixing cars and everything like that. And I'm like, what do I know how to do? I don't know how to do none of that.
Right.
So, um, but when I was in boot camp or coming out, one of my jobs was to be a fireman.
Wow.
At the time, because they asked me, say, hey, you want to be a fireman? At the time, I'm like, all I could think was, okay, fireman, paid
Right.
vacations, uh, a watch rotation, big red trucks. Sign me up. That's all I knew about a fireman. I mean, they didn't tell me that
Right.
that was an actual rank in the engineering department.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, I learned a lot of engineering skills uh while in there, and that was really good. I was really excited about that because a lot of those engineering jobs are transferable to the civilian life. Mine in
Definitely.
particular, yeah, mine in particular, I was working on boilers, the steam propulsion, and then later on, after I went to the Eisenhower, air conditioner and refrigeration, which is where I got my journeyman's license. Um, I got my EPA certification. Um, but during all of that, those skills, paying attention to detail was one of the things which was I found to be pretty valuable because a lot of stuff that we do in there we have to pay attention to detail because it can literally mean life or death.
Definitely, definitely. Especially in your department.
Yeah.
But just being on a Navy ship as a whole is very important,
Mm.
you know.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that
Gotta be very
that's
careful.
good. That was your time in the service. Now I know you've been out for, has it been about 2 years? Close to three? Yeah.
January. Matter of fact, it was my birthday, January 28th of 2022.
What a birthday present. So you coming up on your third year. Oh, it doesn't it go by so fast?
It do, and for some reason, it's like I'm still waiting for that phone call from some chief. Like, yo, where are you?
Right. You've been UA for a very long time.
You was
Oh
supposed to
my
been
God.
here.
So since you've been out, what would you say? What were the most difficult aspects of adjusting to civilian life after military service?
Oh man.
Personally, professionally,
So, all right. Okay. So I got a story. Can I share it?
of course.
Okay. All right. I got a story. So, um, I guess first off, one of the main things I found was, I don't want to say it was so much a challenge, but I actually started to have to pay attention to it. Was because when you're in military housing and whatnot, everything is pretty much taken care of, right? Your lighting, your utilities, all of that, housing, you just set it and forget it. Get in the house, all of that. No, you can't. You can set it, but you got to make sure that it keep going. So my story is, so all of the training that I had got, I want to say it was TAPS class. They say, hey, you're able to stay in military housing for X amount of time after you retire, right? I was like, okay, that'll probably give us a little time, and we can find a house, we can um and take our time with this a little bit and really go shopping. Oh yeah, no. So the actual housing authority is like, no, this is only for active duty military. You got to go. We'll work with you. We'll work with you, but now you taking up space for another active duty member. So now my timeline was cut like more than half to actually find a house, get my family moved out, and situated. So that was pretty challenging with the transition uh portion. Man, it was
Wow.
beyond stressful because we
Talk
had to.
about misinformation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my only deal, was like, yo, I'm like, all the training that we got in military, well, in TAPS class, they were saying that, hey, we can stay in military housing up to 6 months after retirement. So I was like, okay. So, I kind of took a breather a little bit. Um, but then once it all actually came to military housing, is like, mm-mm,
Oh my goodness.
active duty only.
Wow.
Active duty only. So yeah, and every house that we was looking for, every house, they was turning us down left and right, or someone outbid us, should I say? Um, so it was like, yo, it's what we gonna do? But God always takes care of us.
He does. He
Yep.
does. We thank God. And the beauty of you sharing your story is that it's the little things that someone's going to listen to this. They may still be on active duty. They may interpret the same thing during their TAPS class, thinking that they may have additional time when in
Yeah.
all actuality they don't. So this is
Yeah.
really good information, and this is the whole point of this podcast. So thank you so much for sharing that. I just have one last question for you. How did you cope with the emotional and mental challenges of leaving, a very structured environment such as the military?
Real talk. I was actually scared about getting out. I
Yes.
was I was I was actually scared about getting out, because you got to think, I went in as a kid, pretty much.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I went
How old
in
were you? 18?
hmm
Yes. Oh my
July
goodness.
July 20th, 2021 is
Wow.
when I shipped out. So of course I was in boot camp.
2001.
2001. Yep.
Okay.
So of course I
Wow.
was in boot camp during 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. I
So
still remember where I was at.
yeah, so coping, I mean, it is definitely, hard to say, be a challenge, because you think, you go through this military life for so long, nothing happens, you're all good. But then you're now don't have the stressors of someone calling your name all the time, calling your phone, and then one this, chief that. Um, you ain't got to worry about no watch, no duty sections or anything like that. So your mind is still moving
Yeah.
real fast. Um, and of course, I got a hard time being still because I'm still learning how to be retired. Um, yeah, yeah, but at the same time, there's going to be some, and I'm just speaking, for me. There was some mental health issues there that I didn't even know existed until until I actually got out. Even though it was a little later down the line, it was definitely a wake up call that even though we're militarized, but coming out, and this I guess this is a person by person. It doesn't happen with everyone because some people just can't wait to get out. But then you got some folks that just have a hard time. You just got to
Yeah,
take it one day at a time. Get to know your family, get to know yourself. Um, outside of what you're used to, which is whatever service that you may have been in, and take it day by day for real. And don't be ashamed of therapy because
absolutely.
it's helpful. It's helpful. But now it's coping. It's getting there. It's definitely getting there.
That's good. That's good that you brought that up because many veterans in general deal with anxiety, deal with just the pressure of getting to know themselves.
Yeah.
Many of them have, I guess you can say, identity crisis, as it will, because we basically have been taught to like identify ourselves and who we are as who we were in uniform.
Hmm.
So it's really just going through that process. So giving yourself grace, number one,
Yeah.
and just taking it day by day.
Day
So
by day.
really sound advice. We appreciate your story here at Veterans Compass to Success Studio.
Hey, no
Again, this
problem.
is Michael Robinson. Can you tell the people where they can actually follow you on different social media platforms?
I am on TikTok, and I am also on Instagram. Instagram is uh, Mike underscore Wall Street.
All right. And then TikTok is
I can't think of that handle because it's like Michael Robinson. It's like Michael Robinson and a bunch of numbers.
okay. So you guys are on Instagram. You can follow Michael on Instagram. He is an amazing entrepreneur. He's an amazing father. He's an amazing veteran. We appreciate him for taking time out of his busy schedule today, for sharing his story, providing veterans with insight that will help them during their transition out of the military. And again, my name is LaMonica Lawrence. You can find me on all platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and you're simply just going to type in LaMonica Lawrence. Okay, so we thank you guys today for participating with our very first episode.
Hey, very first
We
one.
made it. Amazing. Again, thank you so much for your time, Michael.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having me, and I look forward to seeing you just help as many veterans as humanly possible.
Absolutely. Thank you.